like to work with. And what's great about that is I'm able to support them in their businesses, and they're able to support me by really educating them on who's this ideal client I like to work with and how can I help them. So I have a friend, he specializes in pediatrics. I don't really know a lot about pediatric nutrition. That was kind of part of the things that maybe I studied for the test and then swiftly forgot. So when I have someone who reaches out to me and wants help with their 10-year-old or their 8-year-old, that's not really someone that I have the expertise to best be able to help. So I pick up my phone and I call my friend or I refer on his website. And so he's able to build business. And then that way that gets returned to me. So it's all about kind of nurturing those relationships within this broader field of nutrition.
So that's a tough question. I feel like this is something, especially in the beauty industry, that we struggle with on a daily basis, because there's always going to be something, especially in a smaller city like Columbia, there's always going to be that new and better thing to come along. You know, when there's a new restaurant or a new shopping area or whatever, it's kind of the hit thing to do for a while, and then all of a sudden it kind of loses its luster, and then something else kind of opens in its place that kind of takes over that top priority. For me, it's really been kind of recognizing that there's enough business to go around for everyone, that perhaps our place is not always the best fit for every customer, depending on their personality. Our place is kind of a little bit more of an upbeat place, and so if you're looking to go and get essential services somewhere where there's relaxing music and things like that, that's probably not the best place to come to get your essential services. What's hard about that is when you do have businesses that come into the market and they try to pretty much do everything you do with the same type of branding. I recently had a business who went to our website and basically stole every single thing off of our website word for word. And so for me, it's more about kind of staying in my lane and focusing on what I can control and making sure that my business and my staff and that we're working as a team, that we're promoting ourselves appropriately, and again, recognizing that there is enough business to go around. And as long as we kind of stay in our lane and stay focused and make sure that we're offering the best service for our clients and still kind of focusing on that target audience, that we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to echo the staying in your lane. So you all probably wouldn't know this, but the recruiting industry in the Columbia market is very cutthroat, typically with each other. So with that being said, I actually call my competitors my collaborators. Some collaborators are really right here, really close, and some collaborators I like to prefer to see them way over there. And so essentially what we've also recognized is kind of running our own race, realizing what we do really well, what we're offering, and what that means is a total client experience. We're a boutique recruiting firm, so if you're just looking for a body, a breathing pulse to go work at your company, we're not the place for you. And if you're looking for a partner that's just going to essentially only contact you maybe once during the entire process, we're not for you. If you want actually a recruiting partner that's going to typically shower you and the candidate with gifts, be in intense communication with you, updating you on the process every step of the way, and giving a guarantee on every placement that we hire for your company, then yeah, we're the right fit for you.
Please explain how you market your product or service.
Well, it's actually a really interesting question, because for the first, I've been in business technically since 2014, and I've done zero marketing, traditional marketing, except social media. I have not hired an outside source for that. So what I've done is join a business networking group, and then I quickly became also the president of such business networking group. So we were operating just on referrals, and because of that, we've grown 50% year over year in sales, just on referrals, because you can do a good job for one, then guess what? They're going to tell that good news story to everybody else in their circle. So I still have to say, we actually have just hired this week a marketing company and firm, and we are about to blast in 2019 on top of our referral base. We are about to take it to the next level with social media marketing, as well as direct mail, email campaigns, all kinds of things that maybe you all we're taking it all to the next level. So yeah.
I would have to agree with her. We've spent very little money outside of social media advertising, as most of my colleagues would probably agree. As a small business owner, print advertising is very expensive, and for a lot of us, we don't really know how much return we're getting on that investment. We've done lots of social media kind of campaigns. We've relied on organizations we're a part of, such as the Vista Guild, because we're located in the Vista, and so they offer free advertising through their business, such as things that are coming up this week, like Vista Lights. I've relied on my small kind of, and I say small because I consider it small, but it's really larger than I guess what I think, my personal connections to help make referrals to our business. We've offered discounts to our employees. But really, for the most part, we've spent very little money on advertising. And so social media is a great thing. You know, when someone comes to our business, we ask that they sign in, you know, that they check in, or they take a picture and they tag us in their post. And if they do that, then we'll give them a % off of their services. Recently, we've kind of explored the influencer kind of business, which is a whole other conversation within itself. It's very interesting, but we're kind of in the process of going down that route as well as reaching out to high schoolers, college students, etc., to offer them opportunities to be ambassadors of our business. So to come and kind of get services, market those to their friends, to their families, etc. In that way. So really much of our advertisement has been via social media and referral, small connections.
Sounds like a job opening for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I love what everyone's saying about that. It really comes down to the relationships that you build. So much of marketing is about building relationships with other people. So yeah, if you look at where I have spent the most time and money in advertising, one thing I found is that media just really doesn't bring people in. As part of the consulting media side of my business, I often get quoted in magazines like Shape or Self, or I got my name on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, which was something I was like, what is this doing here? But I will tell you that as exciting as that is, and as fun as it is to have that little clipping in my scrapbook, that has not brought me any clients. It's not brought me any money whatsoever. It's just allowed me to have a little brag for myself. So for me, it's been all about the two places that I've brought in clients has been social media and then networking with other professionals. So for social media, of course, I have my blog and I have Instagram where I've built up a large following, where I'm really able to connect with my ideal clients, since I really know who that person is. I'm able to speak to them and sort of educate them on why they might need my services. I think most people who are Googling, a dietitian in Colombia, they're not necessarily looking for, they're probably looking for someone who's going to put them on a diet or put them on something restrictive. That's not what I do. So with my social media, I'm able to educate on my services and why you might need that. With the networking side of things, again, it's also just like social media is building a relationship with the people who follow you. I'm building relationships with different therapists in my network. I'm building relationships with other dietitians. I'm building relationships with my friend groups. All my friends know exactly what I do. And if they're talking with one of their friends and then their friend starts talking about something where they feel like I'd be a good fit for them, they're doing the marketing for me.
As Rachel said, it's pretty much the same thing, except I'm not a dietitian. Social media, obviously, we all know is key to any promotion of any business, or even yourself. At the same time, I've had the opportunity to be awarded some few awards throughout the city, and with that, having my name out there throughout the city, I've received a lot of referrals for business. I haven't really had to do too much marketing because of how small Columbia is, but I also have clients in New York as well as Pennsylvania, so I guess social media is leaking that information up that way.
Panelists, share how you funded the startup of your company. Describe other methods of securing and starting Starting capital.
I used my 9-to-5's paycheck to build my own website, and then in turn to promote my website to other folks who may need services, whether it be social media and so forth. I always put back into my business, whether it's savings, investing, whenever I get paid, whether it's a few $1,000s or even a few $100s for a landing page, I take half of that and invest it or save it, whether it's a Roth IRA or so forth. So yeah.
Yeah, the good thing about working in a service job where, working with clients one-on-one is that there isn't a huge startup cost involved. There wasn't a huge cost involved with starting my business, so I was able to really just kind of like go into savings and get that small amount of money to start my business and, launch my website and pay the rent and all of this. But what's difficult about that too is that it also takes a while to build up a client base. My first year, I made like no money. My first year tax returns were very, very sad. And but what I was able to do, that was really, thankfully having the support of my husband and being able to live off of one salary for a year, which I was privileged to do. But I think that's where one of those, if you are interested in doing a sort of service job, you really can. I know a lot of people who are dietitians who've done similar businesses. They'll have their 9-to-5 and then kind of slowly launch in the background to be at night working on their website or working on going to a networking event. So a lot of it's that sort of that hustle the first year.
I think we're a little different again too, because we were opening a brick and mortar kind of place, and we needed a build out. We needed people to come in and put plumbing for pedicure sinks, and we needed a bar, and we needed equipment and things like that. So certainly our startup cost was much greater than kind of I think what you mentioned. So we actually went the business loan route, and our business plan was to try to pay off our loan within so many years after opening. And so pretty much all the money that we make, we put back in the business, and we put towards our loan. And so it's frustrating at first because you're working so hard and you're not really taking any money. At least my husband and I are not taking any money currently from our business, but we know that in the upcoming years we will reap the benefits from that. So with our business loan almost paid off in the next year or so, we'll be able to see the benefits from that.
Yeah, I'm probably more similar to our friends over there, in the sense of really, I was working as an HR leader in Fortune 100 companies. I decided to use the bonuses and invest it, as well as any other incentives that I received. I essentially, if I even got like $50 from my grandma, literally would go into the same funnel for my business. And I actually did that over the course of probably 3 years, just in planning, and then was just prepared and ready. And it still wasn't enough, but at the same point in time, so even in my first probably few months, I decided, and hardly anyone knows this, but I actually decided to also do Uber driving. So I left my corporate HR job, I was starting my recruiting company. I was also an Uber driver at night, and just continued to add. Thankfully, I get to sleep at night instead of Uber driving the rest of the day. So.
Here's an icebreaker for students. Students, have any of you thought about a need that could be filled or a problem that could be solved with a new product or service, or by improving an existing product or service? Please share. Students, have any of you thought about a product that can be filled or solved by a new product or service, or by improving a product or service? Back to our panelists. What motivated you from idea to action?
What motivated me from idea to action? What did it? I wanted money. Right? I wanted to be stable. I wanted to have the ability to have my own. And I knew that the market was great in marketing and web development. That's just the way things are right now. Maybe in a few years it'll be different. But I know I wanted to strike while the iron was hot. And I know, especially in the Southeast, a lot of folks want the brick and mortar, or they want to establish something for themselves. But who better to help them do that than someone who they had on, which is my company.
What motivated me to action was I was just really miserable at my job. I was very unhappy, and I knew I needed to make a change. And you know, as difficult of a work environment as I was at the time, I'm really thankful for it because I know that without being so miserable, I probably wouldn't have made that very serious step into launching my business.
I think for us, there were signs. The more we researched this idea and this process, there were more and more signs. Now, I think I'm since learning that was very strategic. The internet and social media's way of recognizing that we were talking about things and researching things and that kind of thing. It took me about a year to realize that. But there were additional signs for me that just kind of felt like this was the right thing that we should do at this time in our life. And so we kind of took those steps forward and really never looked back. And even though there are some days that makes for really long days, and there are some things that we have to sacrifice, like working on Saturdays. And I get one day off a week, but you know, it's like I tell my colleagues, I don't complain about it because it's the path that I chose. And so for that reason, I'm very grateful that we took that leap of faith.
I've always wanted to be a business owner ever since being president of FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. So I knew at that time in high school that I would. However, I also realized that I needed to go to college and grad school and get experience as well, and also make money immediately to buy a new car, of course, before I started business. But honestly, then it became a point
Please
where...
pardon this interruption. Ms. Rogers. Ms. Rogers, please dial extension 7633, Dr. Small's office.
Great. But I also started truly disliking my job. And I knew that it was just time to take action and act on what's been inside of me for so long.
Panelists, who were your mentors and how did they influence your startup? Who was in your support network?
My goodness. So my mom has always been my biggest cheerleader. I think I could do anything, and she would be like, "You're doing great, and you're gonna be awesome." So honestly, that encouragement has always been a big support. But I also had, this sounds really cheesy, but I literally still am in touch with not my guidance counselor, but it was like the advisor to FBLA from high school. And I literally stayed in contact with her, and she told me also, and kind of confirmed that for me, like, you're gonna do great things, and I want you to stay on track. And she was a huge guide to me. And then I actually met another business owner that I kind of just attached myself to in Charleston and feed off of her as well. So it's really important to have a network, have the right partners, and not everyone is going to be a partner for you or a help to you, and that's okay, but it's choosing the right folks that are your inner circle and you protect them with everything, because you're going to go to them with advice and you're crying and excited and all that stuff. So that answers the question.
I think my mentor from a business perspective is certainly our business partner from Chicago. So she was in business for about 10 years before we kind of teamed up with her to create the business that we have now. She's pretty much seen everything. You know, the employee issues, the competition, the just the daily, sometimes grind of how you feel, you know, those emotional roller coasters of owning your own business and being on the top of the world one day, and then the next day, you know, being you know, frustrated or depressed about the process or something that happened that day. And so she's really been able to be really a constant person in my life and in my husband's life to kind of help guide us through those moments. And through her, I've also met other female business owners who have similar experiences. And that's the one thing that I think I've learned through this process, is that everyone that owns a business has similar experiences that you do. And you really don't have to be alone in that. It's really kind of having just a simple conversation at events like this, that you like she said, you create a network of people that you know that you can go to even if it's just to talk to or to seek guidance or to, you know, help find some sort of solution if there's an issue that you're facing. So really establishing that network of people that you can rely on and you know, to continue to help build you up as well.
So the cool thing about social media is that you're able to discover, if you've got a business idea, you can go out and discover people in other cities who are doing the same thing that you want to do. And that's sort of what I did. I found there were about 6 other dietitians throughout the U.S. who had a similar practice philosophy, a similar business model. And I just kind of reached out to them, and I made them become my friend. I forced them to like me. I ran into them at conferences and roped them into conversations and became friends with them. I reached out over social media, and we became legit. We are good friends in real life, and that's wonderful. And so I created what we would call mastermind group, which is essentially a group of us that get on the phone once a month. We talk for an hour and a half. Each person brings whatever they're struggling with, whatever questions that they have, and together we're able to support each other, provide that emotional support, do some brainstorming, help with troubleshooting, and now I think I more have to remind myself not to fall into the comparison trap, because of course these were all women who had established businesses when I first started, and I feel really grateful to count them as friends. But yeah, again, I think it's just something that goes back to that relationship building, the relationships that you build when people want to support you and they want to see you succeed.
I've had tons of mentors growing up, not necessarily for the business, but just had tons of mentors. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and so when I was growing up, it was the older heads on the block. It was my basketball coaches. It was a lot of people who mentored me to become the man that I am. And nowadays, I have just that network of like-minded individuals. For instance, one of your district commissioners, Aaron Bishop, good friend of mine, one of my mentors, one of my close confidants. We have tons of people throughout the city. Mayor Benjamin, good friend of mine. And so a lot of these older men, they're men, and I have a lot of female mentors as well, but these 2 men individuals, I see where they're at in their stature and what they're doing and how they're helping, serving, and what they're doing in their lives. And my focus is serving. And so if I can help anyone become a better version of themselves or let their business soar, I'm grateful to do it. I'm a point guard by nature. I played the point at Allen University, and that, I was an assist man, so I have to give the ball up, I have to make other people better. And so that's what I'm doing now in my business, making others better.
What education, training, and experience helped you prepare for your business?
I went through the gauntlet of going to undergrad and graduate school, Allen University, and Webster University. I got to receive my MBA in business administration. But I think with web design, it was really just doing it. Social media, doing it. I'm a Facebook baby, Instagram baby, Snapchat baby. We're around the same time frame where all this was coming about. And then I use YouTube. For anyone who wants to do something great in your life, piggyback off what others are doing and try to see how they're doing it without them even telling you. So use YouTube for a lot of the information you need. Google, Yahoo, Bing, go on all these sites and just type in what you want to do or what you want to be good at, and you can learn off the web without somebody actually having to tell you anything in person.
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate in nutrition at Clemson, and while I was there, I actually started as a psychology major, and then decided I want to do psychology, so let's go ahead and double with nutrition. Then went back and did some more education in nutrition before I started practicing. But what's kind of funny today is that I ended up using a lot more, like a lot of what I learned in my psychology undergrad, I kind of use that a bit more than I even do the nutrition part of things. So yeah, so sometimes things that I thought I might not need as I got older turned out to be quite crucial.
Very, very similar. I don't have any official business training, that I don't have an MBA or any type of entrepreneurial certification or anything like that. I was required to take some business classes as part of pharmacy school, but similar to my colleague, I never really thought I wanted to own my own pharmacy, and so I took them because it was necessary to get my degree, and at that time, at that moment in my life, I was not interested in that. So really everything that I've learned has been self-taught. When we first opened our business, I took some social media classes, especially pertaining to Instagram, because most people think you just post, and there is a science to Instagram and how your page is supposed to look and things like that. Learned a lot through our mentor, learned a lot from making mistakes, and so that's kind of how I've been educated about the world of business. Doing something and learning that didn't work, and now having to redirect and make a plan to move on to another path.
So as I mentioned, my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's in human resource management, and then I have a master's degree in industrial and labor relations, which is pretty fancy for employee relations and HR. And then obviously I have the HR certifications that we kind of have to maintain to be competitive and helpful. But I would say that nothing could replace the experience, and that's the experience of investigations and being HR in a variety of different companies. To see that experience and kind of just like boots on the ground, doing the hard, dirty work, even though it's not fun and glamorous for a certain period of time. I mean, that's really, well, I thought you were going to say like School of Hard Knocks or something, but it really is. It's the experience, and it's those tough and challenging situations that are going to probably be more education or more valuable than, I don't want to say that, but in my bachelor's degree at times. But overall, those things that get for success, the experience, it outweighs it all.
Final question for our panelists. What has surprised you the most in your business journey?
All right. Pass. I'm just joking. What is surprising the most? I think, man, I didn't realize that at the very beginning, this is very naive, I didn't realize that I would make so many mistakes and fall on my face so often. And I don't think that because I was coming from corporate America, I consider myself an overachiever in regards to if I see something, I run after it, I'm a go-getter. And I wasn't used to failing. And man, you fail. As an entrepreneur, you're going to fail every day, but it's really all about learning how to kind of recover from that. How do you learn from it is that you can impact your customers, your product, your services, and just to be better every day. And then I believe that you mentioned earlier about getting used to the highs and lows. So maybe like one day it can literally feel like the world is ending, your business is closing, and then the next day it's like, man, you're flipping Bill Gates, like you're on your way. This is the contract that's going to close it all. I mean, so this continual ebb and flow, and so I'm no longer surprised by the roller coaster, and I'm no longer surprised by failure. I honestly embrace it, love it. It's okay to make mistakes.
I think the biggest thing for us that was hard that I didn't recognize was managing employees, because regardless of how hardworking they are, what their motivation is to come to work every day, no one is going to run your business and care about your business the way that you do, because it's your time, sweat, blood, money, etc. that you're putting into it. So I think that has been the biggest learning curve for my husband and myself. Also kind of recognizing that when you own a business,